I know his name.
You know his name. Have you ever met him?
Years ago.
How many days has it been since Congressman Deidre Hale has hosted a town hall here in the state of Tennessee?
Never.
Happened, but anyone guess it? If you get within 100, I'll give you my truck. Anyone?
2,700 days.
Oh, I almost ordered a truck. Molly's got a nice truck too, so she just went mine. It's been 2,813 days since Congressman Deidre Hale has held a town hall. Longer than World War II, longer than World War I, longer than an 8-term presidency. It's been that long. Over this summer, these past 4 months, I've held a town hall in every community, in every county in this district, all 16. There's 250 communities of the 4th Congressional District. It's one of the biggest and most rural and most gerrymandered, if you know what that word means, congressional district in this entire country. And you know why they made it? They made it to protect the status quo. They wanted this to be impossible to beat. They wanted it to be simply that once you got the job, you didn't have to fight for it. Here's the issue. They never met me. They had never met me. 31 years old. I have a spirit. I have a fight. I make some enemies sometimes too. But you know what? I would encourage you to judge me by my enemies. See who's against me. See who fights the hardest against me. Every time they cry out, hell no, I want you to look at who's crying out and ask, do you want to be with them or you want to be with us? Let me tell you who we're fighting for. Let me tell you what cents an hour is a moral outrage. I'm a Christian. It's the Lord's Day. That isn't pro-life. That isn't pro-family. I'm fighting for folks who have been screwed over by healthcare companies time and again. I cannot go to the Save-A-Lot. I cannot go to Kroger. I cannot go to the grocery store without someone grabbing my arm and telling me about the prescription drug costs, telling me about the unaffordable healthcare they have. And I want you to know, my opponent, Congressman Deidre Hale, has voted over 80 times in a decade to take away your health care. While he's out hiding somewhere, Lord knows where, in South Pittsburgh or Northern Virginia, he's fighting to screw over your families. He fights for the rich and the powerful. I fight for those who are left out and left behind. I fight for you and your families. Now, let me tell you something. My favorite biblical story, one of them, is David versus Goliath. But let me tell you what's wrong with how we understand that story. We have this old, mini little David who beats the Goliath of his time. But folks, what did David bring to that fight with Goliath? Slingshots and a stone. I brought to this fight a slingshot. For the past 5 months, you brought the stones. And the results are happening. There are folks here who have never been to a function for the Democratic Party ever in in Warren County or in McMinnville. There are folks who have never been to an event with someone running for office right here and right now. That's great. That's who I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for those who have given up on politics altogether, who said it's not for me. Those guys, they don't fight for us. I'm not showing up. But the reason our campaign is doing so well, the reason that we have almost 5,000 donors in this campaign, which is a record, it's more than any candidate for office in the state of Tennessee, it's just our message is resonating. Sometimes the people who just keep showing up, they eventually win you over. 5,000 donors, 600 volunteers, nearly over 300,000 contacts with Tennessee voters. That's why you're here. You're here because these young men and women who have been knocking on your doors, asking for your support, asking what matters for you and your family, asking how I can be a congressman of the people and for the people. This is a movement for generational change in Tennessee. And folks, I want you to know something. You might not know it just yet, but perhaps there's more people here than you suspected. Perhaps this crowd's a little bit bigger than you imagine. We're seeing that everywhere. Across the state of Tennessee, we're having crowds in the reddest and most rural areas that God ever made. Areas that Democrats haven't won since Jesus was born. We're competing there because I'm a different type of candidate. I want to be a congressman that goes to every zip code and every community. I'm the congressman that knows your joys, your hopes, your sufferings, your anxieties. I know them. I know your kids. I know what keeps you up at night. And you know, if you haven't met me yet, that I'm here and that I'm outward facing and that I want to know you. My opponent was voted the worst congressman in America, not by the Democrats, by the leading conservative magazine in this country. The Republicans don't like him. Let me tell you something. We got a little email in Murfreesboro the other day. The Republican Party, some operative out there, put a Hale yes sign in the Republican Party window in Murfreesboro, and there's no Scott Desjardins sign. Even Republicans are wondering, where is Congressman Desjardins? Today, I spent my morning with the Libertarians up in Murray County. We talked about things I think you all would care about. Legalizing weed. You want to revive the rural economy? Let's legalize marijuana. We talked about ending the endless wars in the Middle East so that our kids, our sons and daughters, my peers, do not have to fight the wars of their elders again and again. And maybe instead of investing in hospitals in Baghdad and Damascus, maybe we can invest in hospitals here in rural Tennessee, 12 of which have closed since Congressman Desjardins took office. This movement is on fire, and it's being noticed across the country. We've been written about in CNN, the Washington Post twice, Newsweek earlier this month, and yes, even my friends at Fox News. But you know why I think they're writing about it? I think most of America, if you do not live here, most of America is absolutely shocked that Scott Desjardins is still our congressman. They think the scandals, the embarrassment, the stories that flood out again and again and again, his ineffectiveness to lead, they think maybe it's time for a change. That's why we've gotten donations from every state in this union. All 50 states have invested right here in McMinnville, Tennessee, in a young man and his campaign to bring change to this community. That's why we have over 1,200 yard signs in the ground. That's why we have a press for 1,000 more. You know, remember those Manny Sefty signs, those orange and white signs for the summer? Manny Sefty ain't got nothing on Chris Hale. The amount of signs that we are going to have, that we continue to have in the ground, will far surpass, will be the most signs of any candidate ever in the state of Tennessee. This campaign's on fire, but I got a question for you. Do you know that? All of America knows that, who invested in my campaign, but does McMinnville know that? Does Warren County know that? I have this phrase, I have these volunteers and these staffers, we call them Hale's Angels. H-A-L-E. Fighters United and that's Hale's Angels have been fighting for me and being the spreader of the good news of this campaign, and they're the reason we're here. And so today, I'm going to take your questions. I know there's a bunch of non-Democrats in the room, and I have a particular focus on you. I want you to know that 1 in 3 of my voters on election day are not going to be Democrats, are going to be non-Democrats. That's what we need, folks. If I got every Democrat on God's green earth, you know how much percentage I get? About 31. Hillary Clinton lost this district by 41 points. That is the 4th highest margin in the entire country, the congressional district. So I need everyone. My election night party is going to be Democrats. It's going to be Christians. It's going to be atheists. It's going to be evangelicals and Catholics. It's going to be black, brown, and white. It's going to be young. It's going to be old. It's going to be folks who smoke weed. It's going to be and you know what? There's going to be a few MAGA hats in the crowd too. We're going to create a coalition. You might want to punch the person next to you at the election night party, but we need them. We need that MAGA hat guy. I need him. I need Trump Hale voters. I need libertarians. I need socialists. I need everyone because we're on a common mission. these folks know that they might not like everything I stand for, but at least I stand for something. At least I stand before them. At least I show up. Congressman Desjardins is afraid of you. These scandals that we talk about again and again and again, these scandals, these abortion scandals, these abuse of women scandals, these domestic abuse scandals, what they did is they made it impossible for Congressman Desjardins to leave. He got scared, never faced them head on, and he ran away. I'm here. So I'm going to answer your questions, but I want to tell you 3 things I need from you today with humility. I have 5,000 donors to this campaign. The average online contribution is $33.23. Honestly, I think Bernie Sanders should be proud of me. We are fueled by the grassroots. I'm asking today, and I'm asking right now, it's like an altar call. Will someone be my 501st contribution to this campaign? Will someone raise their hand and say, I will give to this campaign? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My staff will come by now. You got to fulfill these donations, guys. I can't run around and catch you all day. My staff will come by now. You can do it by check, you can do it by credit card, or you can do it by cash. I want you to know what these donations go to. They go to this young people who are staffing my campaign, young Tennesseans. They go to our door knocking operations. They go to our television and digital ads. Maybe you've seen some of them on your Facebook, on your YouTube. They go to get the word out about our campaign. Second thing I need from you is the easiest one in some ways. These signs. Who likes the Hell Yes signs? Viewers at home, I'd like you to note that 100% of people like the Hell Yes sign. Who, the first time they ever heard my name, was because of a Hell Yes sign? Most people here. These signs are interesting. Let me tell you exactly how this works. There's a man named Joseph in Spring Hill. Joseph is 43 years old. Joseph works at that plant, that GE plant up there. Sorry, GM plant up there. And he saw on the way home one day the Hell Yes sign, and he thought it was hilarious. He loved it. He Googled me. Seemed like I had a nice enough smile, shared his values, had baseline policy ideas that he agreed with. Seemed like a good guy for the job. He goes weeks and weeks and weeks, and he's like, I love that guy, I love that guy, I love that guy. He goes to church one Sunday, and he tells his friends about that Hell Yes guy. And then they had the news. The worst news in the world. Chris Hale is a Democrat. Or Democrat, or Dumbocrat, whatever they call us. And so he was devastated. He was devastated. He didn't realize there were Democrats in rural Middle Tennessee. He didn't know we existed anymore. And then he asked himself for the first time in his adult life, for the first time in his 43 years of living, who is my congressman? Who is my congressman? Folks, the people that vote for Scott Desjardins do not know him. They know that R, and that's all they know. If they know me, they will be forced for the first time in their lives to ask themselves who their congressman is. Let me put it for you this way. Pro-life Joseph asked who his congressman was, and he found out about the 3 abortions. Pro-family Joseph asked about who the congressman was, and he found out about the 6 mistresses. He found out about the violence against women, the domestic abuse in the court of law that he admitted to. Folks, we don't have to be embarrassed anymore. Joseph, 43, because of the Hell Yes sign and because he actually made a rational choice between me and my opponent, for the first time in his 25 years of being a voter, is voting for a Democrat to the United States Congress. That is happening all across the state. There are tens of thousands, I kid you not, tens of thousands of non-Democrats in this tent because they know he does not represent them. The values that they really truly believe in, authentically in their hearts, he does not represent them. But the way they get into this campaign is through these signs. These are signs of populist cry. What was your first thought when you saw the sign? Anyone?
It's funny.
Funny, okay. It's a cry. It's humorous. We're Southerners. It's funny. Hell yes. It's a populist cry. It's a cry from the heart. It's a cry of anger. Something's got to change. Hell yes, we need something new. But also, it's a sign of hope. It's a sign of new things to come. It's a sign of generational change, of changing things up. These signs are by missionaries. What they do is they get strange people into our tent. They make our art bigger and bigger and bigger. I need to put thousands of these in the ground. We've already put thousands of these in the ground. But to give you a sense, I'm ordering thousands per week. They need homes. Who, right now, will sponsor the best political sign in the state of Tennessee in regard or business or somewhere in McMinnville? Perfect. What we need from you is, because my campaign manager he's a numbers dweeb, data geek. We just need to know where our property is. So can you just need to let my staff know when you pick up a sign, where's this going? Just so we know where it's going. And let me tell you something. People are like, oh, I don't want to take a sign because it's going to get stolen. I don't care. They can steal every sign on God's green earth. I'll put up a new sign. This campaign makes thousands of dollars a week of people rage donating because their sign gets stolen. Now, I am, just for the record, I am not advocating this, but let me just tell you what someone in Decatur, Tennessee, down in Meigs County did. They were sick of their beautiful Union-made Hale Yes sign getting stolen. And so what they did is they put a mousetrap on it. 2 weeks ago, Sunday night, they go to bed, and Monday morning, they see the sign tipped in a way. There was residue on the mousetrap. These people fought for these signs. Sign wars are real things in Middle Tennessee. You should defend your property, but you know what? If they take it, that means they're terrified. Folks, people are screaming out in the wilderness out here. So some of those Proud Boys, those jerks who terrorize our communities, who have been, frankly, assholes since high school. They never left. They hate me. The Proud Boys hate me. I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine. They have a tradition of hating those who are right. They have a tradition of hating those who are standing up to them and the bullies. Think of the bullies that you grew up with. You know their names. You know them. You can see them. That's who I'm running against. And frankly, that's who my opponent is in the United States Congress. Scott Desjardins is a bully. He's a bully against rural Tennesseans, particularly rural Tennessee women. His entire career as a doctor, as a public servant, has been about the abuse of power against women. I want to stand up for Tennessee women. I want to stand up for all Tennesseans who are trying by the sweat of their brow to make this community a little more just and a little less cold. There are those who say we can't defeat Scott Desjardins. You know what? We'll just accept the status quo of losing elections and not making progress. But I think we've got to lift our eyes above the obstacles we face and look to the Tennessee horizon, to a state where every child can have the gift of a world-class education. Tennessee, where good jobs aren't just a wish, but a reality. Where healthcare is the God-given right of every citizen. Where women receive equal pay and a living wage is paid to all. A Tennessee where after a lifetime of work and labor, there's time for rest, for faith, for family. I know if we look into our hearts, we can create that Tennessee. In a few weeks, these shoes, which have taken me throughout my career to all throughout Tennessee, to all throughout the globe, through Iraq, through Syria, through Manila, these shoes are going to take me across the 16 counties of this 4th congressional district. I'm walking everywhere. I'm starting in Colioca, which you probably don't know where it is. It's way up there in Murray County, and I'm walking all the way to Decatur, to Spring City. I'm walking across this community, and I'm asking you to walk with me. I'm asking you to walk with me. I'm asking you to stand with me. I'm asking you to help me. Folks, the journey right before Election Day, I'll come back one last time to McMinnville, and these good crowds we have, they will stretch longer than the eye will see. because you will help me fill these communities, fill these civilians, and help me win this. You might not know it now, but you'll know it then. You're looking at your next congressman. Thank you for having me. Now the fun part. Who wants questions? You can ask me questions. You can ask biography or whatever you want. I'm glad to answer any questions you have. Hey, man, what's your name?
My name is Kenyatta Luck, and I live here in McMinnville.
Thank you.
My question is more about this comment. Now,
Sure.
you have a good message.
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate people who want to do the right thing by the people that they serve. But I guess sometimes ever since I was a little girl, I followed the election process and
Sure.
all of that. But sometimes these people, they speak well in front of us when they want our vote. But then when they get in office, they're a totally different story. So what is it that you can tell us about you that we can be reassured that you won't change?
Sure.
And I know there's a lot of rules and laws that cover everything, and you have to go by and follow that stuff. But what assurances can we have from you that you won't be
Sure.
manipulated by everything that goes on in Washington and all these other places?
Well, the big thing is, when you speak reality in terms of politics, I would be a representative of a party as 35%. So I would stand election in 2 years. And one thing I want to note, and this is really important for you to tell your friends who are very skeptical about making a change, I'm only asking for 2 years. If I am not the man I say I am, kick me to the curb. But here's the promise I want to make to you in the present. I will be in McMinnville and Warren County every quarter for a town hall. And that town hall will not just be filled with my supporters. You can yell at me. You can spit at me. You can come with a piece of trash can. The Proud Boys will be so angry when I win this election. They will fill the Pioneer Stadium. Like they will to yell at me, and they're more than welcome. I will stand before my people 4 times every year, and so every county. So that's 64 town halls every year that I will host in my communities. But I also will make a particular promise that I will not campaign for re-election for 1 year. So I'm not going to go campaigning. I'm going to be legislating with the people. And the final promise is that I will not take corporate PAC money. So I will not sell out to Walmart. I will not sell out to the healthcare companies. Do you know who owns our politicians here in Tennessee? There's two groups. Number one, there's the internet providers. AT&T called to me like 3 times a day, trying to write a check to me. You know why they want to do that? They want to ensure they have a monopoly of the market so that you don't get good internet in rural Tennessee. They want to maintain the status quo. Blue Cross Blue Shield, they love every politician in the state because if they can buy us off, they don't have to reform healthcare so that we can fight back against premiums or too much and healthcare doesn't cover. So that's 3 things I promise you. Number 1, a town hall in every county, every quarter. Number 2, I will not campaign for re-election for 1 year. And number 3, I will not take any money from corporations or corporate PACs. Other questions? Yes, what's your name, sir?
Christopher Robinson. I'll preface all this by saying I vote for a bag of diarrhea over Scott Desjardins. So your answer to this question isn't determinated for my vote.
Sure.
I like the line about instead of buying a hospital in Damascus,
Sure.
buying one over here. That's nice and everything, but I was immediately reminded of how we left our Kurdish allies to slaughter.
Sure.
And so what do you think about America's place in the world, and what about people like our Kurdish allies?
Sure. So I would put myself as a realist on foreign policy. We have to engage in global affairs. We cannot withdraw. What's problematic about this president's policy is he cries out America first, but with the way he operates, America's last. We know that through diplomatic means, that is the first tool of engaging the world, and he has cut diplomatic cord to thin ice, to bare bones. So I want to engage proactively in the world. I'll say this though, I think the critiques of the Democratic Party over the years of being too hawkish, whether or not you agree with them or not, I do think we have to pick our battles thoughtfully. But when we make a promise, we should fulfill the promise. And so we cannot just listen to the far out voices that want us to abandon the world in the name of a peace ideal that will not come. Does it make sense? So to me, we fulfill our promises, but proactively we have to be more thoughtful and engaging in foreign battles. My issue is that we invest so much of our energy and so much of our time in these foreign regime changes that we're not actually paying attention to what's happening here. I think that one of the reasons the Republican Party took over Tennessee, is because the Democratic Party, I think, failed them in a lot of ways. I do believe that. I think the Democratic Party got pretty complacent with the vote of rural Tennesseans, and we did see the dearth of the rural way of life in Tennessee. But here's the thing about it: the Republicans are selling you a bunch of malarkey. They're not doing a damn thing to make life better for you and your family. They talk about freedom. They talk about responsibility. Do you know that about $1 in $3 in rural Tennessee comes from direct payments from the federal government through subsidies, in particular through reimbursements? The government is a big part of creating rural America. It's always been that way. The Republicans do not try to convince you otherwise. So my argument is on this is yes, we have got to engage thoughtfully in foreign policy. I would call myself a realist. I'm not a hawk nor a dove, but I think in foreign entanglements, we have to operate with abundance of caution because we have big problems right here in our community. The healthcare of rural Tennessee is worse than the healthcare of suburban Damascus. Okay, war-torn Syria has better healthcare than rural Tennessee. Other questions? You had one?
No, other
Okay,
than you had
sorry.
live.
Okay. Other questions? Anyone? Okay. Well, let me end with this. The last thing I really want to ask of you, I know it makes you nervous, is the volunteer. And let me tell you this. We will work with anyone. If you have never used a computer in a day of your life and you don't plan on using it before you go to the grave, we will work with you. If you're a millennial or Zoomer, millennial like me, and you hate calling because it's like terrifying. I like my little blue iMessage, or the green for the Android crowd. We'll work with you. We'll put you into a system. Our system's good. It got you here. I've done another event. I'm going to Laverne after this. It gets people there. It's a good system. You can trust it. But I need you. I am not going to win this election with a nice smile and good speech. I'm going to win this election because people right here in Warren County. By the way, I need to win 4 out of 13 counties to win this election. Okay? You're one of them. You're one of them. I need you so bad. I need you to be missionaries for my cause. I need you right now to unload yourself. It's for 37 days. To unload yourself in this campaign because we're going to win. We're going to win, but we need you to get us there. You've got to find me the people to get in the ARC. And so when you volunteer in my campaign, there's 2 things you do. First thing is for the majority of you, you will simply find the people that should vote for us and make sure they're voting for us. Does it make sense? The data will say these people are Democrats until they're blue in the face. We just need to make sure they're with us so I don't waste money trying to get them in my vote. However, for those of you who are feeling a little more mighty and energetic, I'll get you to convert your peers, okay? I'll get you to convince your Republican friends and your non-Democratic friends that this is a different kind of Democrat. This is a Democrat who will fight for your community. This is a Democrat made in the molds of the Dunlaps, David Dunlap and Kevin Dunlap, who represented you all so beautifully for years. This is a Democrat who you can trust. So today, right now, this is my last altar call before we leave. Raise your hand if you're willing to volunteer for at least 1 hour. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Truly, thank you, sir. My staff, if you have not told them that you're willing to volunteer, please tell them, and I promise you, we will call you. This is not like some publisher's clearinghouse. You never hear from us again. We will call you tomorrow. We need you. So, folks, it's an honor to be here. I'll be glad to stay back and take some questions, take some photos and stuff. I got about 20 minutes before I have to head off to Laverne. Thank you for having me. Sure, absolutely. So the walk, we do not know the exact timeline yet, but what I imagine is, so number one, I need the walk. I've eaten way too much food in Tennessee. you have to eat so much food to get elected in this state. It's a requirement forever. So I'm going to walk that off then. So there will be a moment where I imagine you all will help me route this. I think we will walk through McMinnville and we'll make a show of it. We had a parade, a spontaneous parade in Lewisburg. Holy hell. We had a lot of people there. The Proud Boys were not happy. They were not happy. We were ruining their ownership of the town. But you know what? We saw a lot of folks whispering. Hell yes. They might be whispering, but we're going to get them to shout it. So I will tell you more about that. Go to my Facebook page. Our events are uploaded consistently. I do not sleep. I have a sleeping disorder. I run on Red Bull and energy, so you can join us at any points of these events. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you.